AI has already been installed softly in human beings. You have people thinking artificially now. It's very, very, very rare that I get online. I believe in truth, and I'm trying to tell it. It's upset my family because I don't have a cell phone. They're more than irritated. They're angry about it. Environment shapes mind. If you put your mind in a digital environment, does your mind become more algorithmic or more digital, or more computer-like? So I think you just gave me an insight, actually, a profound insight into myself.
What's up? I'm Matt. Welcome to Earth Monster, the storytelling show that celebrates vulnerability and speaks to the darkest, messiest little parts of your heart about the lies that we tell ourselves every day, the stories that we use to get out of bed, the fantasies that we let propel our lives. I call these things necessary delusions, and you probably call them something different, like dreams or goals or wishes or plans, or maybe you don't call them anything because you're not that introspective. I get it. But I'm really interested in talking about all of the biggest ideas that we have had about ourselves and the world around us that have helped to shape or misshape the path that we have taken in life. So if you were the kind of Earth Monster who probably needs therapy, but you'd rather listen to a podcast, subscribe. You found your people. So why am I doing this? In this world that seems so content in pulling us apart, dividing us by red versus blue and religion and sports teams and haircuts and every dumb thing, this is a conversation to explore our endless similarities, to tap into that universal human experience, to take a step out of that carefully crafted 3-minute elevator pitch of who the f you think you are. Nobody cares. To remember that we are all biased, selfish, imperfect Earth monsters. To unlock the hard lessons being carried around by all of us. And what better place to start this all walks of life journey than Craigslist? I've been posting this ad in the creative gigs section across 4 different cities, and I have been so encouraged by the conversations I've been having. So I encourage you, while you're listening to this interview and all of the episodes that I'll be posting, try your best to find a little piece of yourself in the storyteller, because it's there. Today we're talking to Jacob. Jacob responded to the ad in the Seattle, Washington area, and he comes to us pulled over on the side of the road from the back of his van, which is the place that he and his wife have been living for the last couple of years. This is a choice that they have made. They do not have a phone. They do not use the internet very often, and that really sort of sets the stage for the conversation, which is really the debate kind of what the internet, what technology, what AI is doing to all of us. So whether you are really for technology or really scared of it, I think that both sides are going to get a lot out of this conversation. I certainly did. And definitely stick around to the end, because we do end up uncovering a really beautiful origin story as to why all of this is so important to him. And also, we do play some show and tell at the end, so stick around for that. Without further ado, let's go now to my conversation with Jacob.
So I think our lives in general are a multiplicity of stories that are intertwined, right? So you asked me for my story. I couldn't possibly give you the full rope. You know what I mean? So I could give you like a thread, one element of the story, like one story.
Give me the essential thread. Try to boil it down for me, Jacob. Let's.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say it's not far from the Christian story, the Christian narrative, but it's certainly not that. So my life has been, it's so hard to distill this. I love that you're challenging me in this way. The story I've been living is a story of trying to keep my integrity with a set of principles in an environment where those values and principles aren't valued for the most part. And so the story of trying to do the right thing, even though it's not good for me exactly in the immediate sense. And I have a vision and a hope of a future wherein my course now, it will pay off in the long run. So that is the Christian story in a sense, because Christ suffered all that crap so that the future would be great, and he died for it. So it aligns with that. I have a set of principles that are making my life really, really hard and bringing me...
Tell me about your principles.
Okay. Well, truth is the number one. It's important to tell the truth and to be seeking truth, right? So I'm seeking truth. What's true? And that's a good question. A lot of people think that there is no truth, so they go there. There's no truth, why look for it? I don't agree with that. I think there's truth to be found, and
I believe
it's
in absolute truths. I'm with you.
sweet.
Yeah.
And it takes a lifetime to find them, and you have to dedicate your life to the search for truth, and you have to make tons of sacrifices. So I believe in truth, and I'm trying to tell it, and that's getting me into all kinds of hot water
Jacob,
everywhere I go.
give me a couple of quick examples of what you believe are absolute truths. I love this. I'll give you one. What goes around
Please.
comes around.
Absolutely. You reap what you sow, man. It's agricultural. It grounds out in the fucking agriculture. You plant that thing, you
Yeah.
plant an apple seed, an apple tree grows, not an orange one. So it's very, yes, that's an absolute truth. Thank you. You reap what you sow. Some people call it karma in the
What
East.
about you? You say these principles are almost getting in the way of the I don't know, the efficiency of your life, or maybe the ease of your life, or something like that. So talk to me
Yeah.
about those absolute truths.
Okay. So I do stand-up comedy, and I live in Seattle, which is quite far left in a lot of ways politically, and there's
Right.
like the woke element is pretty strong here. And I'm not completely against all the woke movement. I think all political movements and social movements have some truth and good in them, and some bullshit, and you have to get through. You have to
Mm-hmm.
weed through it. There's a lot of bullshit in the woke movement. There's a lot of truisms, and they have a lot of legitimate claims, but there's a lot of bullshit. So I'm in here in Seattle. There's a lot of it, man, and it's very anti-free speech, and there's a lot of hypocrisy about inclusivity. Like, you have to be inclusive, but if you get down to the bottom of it, it's they only want to include what they want to include. So
Right.
there's a lot of hypocrisy that way. So I'm up there on stage doing comedy and sort of making jokes about these things, right? Which is classically what a comedian does: is he pokes fun at the things that are sensitive in the context of comedy, because that's traditionally the only place it could ever be accepted. Because you can't talk about
Right.
the really touchy stuff just
And
casually.
sometimes if it's a really good joke, you don't even just poke fun. You take like a knife and you shank it. Right.
Right, man. Right, man. That's good. I like that a lot. Yeah, you understand this. This is really good. So I'm up there doing
So
that, and
what
I'm
would you
not
say?
getting like I'm
What are
getting
sort of the major themes that you find yourself talking about?
free speech, transgenderism,
Mm-hmm.
um, internet culture, like the information age, the internet, what the internet's doing to us as humans. Um, it's so that's another thing. I'm very anti-digital device. It's very, very, very rare that I get online. This is the first. I've only been on the internet for, like, if you added all the time up in the last 6 months, I've probably been online for like 5 hours.
Wow, good for you,
Because
honestly.
I mean, we could have a whole podcast on how these digital devices are fucking us up, right? So we won't do that here, but they certainly are, and I've dedicated the last 5 years into going really deep into it, and so I'm talking about these things, and it's very much upsetting everyone. It's upset my family because I don't have a cell phone. Um, I
That's
have
annoying. That's really
well, oh,
annoying,
very,
Jacob.
it's very right. It's very, very annoying. It's very inconvenient. And it's very irritating for my family
For
and
anyone who wants to get in touch with you or loves you, I would imagine. Yeah,
right, right. And they're not actually. They're more than irritated. They're angry about it.
sure.
And a lot of people are angry when I talk about what the internet's doing. A lot of people are upset about it because I think they kind of know that it's true, and I think we're kind of not letting ourselves really embrace what's happening here, because it would
What's
require a lot
happening
more.
here? What's the internet doing?
Well, we're out. Number one, we're outsourcing our cognition to it, and that's not good for us. Because if you don't
Outsourcing our
use it,
cognition to it. Can you unpack that for me?
well, I'll use the easiest example. People will often confess this because they're aware of it. But if you went back just 20 years ago, when cell
Mm-hmm.
phones weren't so permeating everywhere, people memorized phone numbers, right? You would have numbers in
Right.
your head of your friends and family, and you knew it, right? And now no one remembers numbers, generally speaking, and everyone talks about this. They know that's happening. So what I say is, well, okay, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's the thing that you can see is happening very obviously in your experience. Oh, I can't remember this number, so you can see it. You're aware of it. But goddamn, let's not be stupid and naive here. There's the thing underneath the surface of the water that's the bigger thing. What about all the things the internet's doing that we're not aware of? What else are we outsourcing? Well, we're outsourcing our navigational systems, our internal navigational systems. People don't know anymore where they are. I've been
Right.
traveling for 4 years across the US and talking to people, asking for directions because I don't have a phone. I don't have Google Maps, so I need to like get directions if I go across the country or across the state. So I have to talk to
Right.
people. And when I talk to them, 8 out of 10 of them don't know where they are. For example, where's the nearest, what do I need? I need to find like a laundromat. So I pull over, I see a guy on the side of the road in a small town, like 4 light town. You know what the laundromat is in your town? This guy's like in his 50s. This is just an anecdote. This is tons of this. Pulls out his phone. Oh, it's 2 blocks down on the left. How long have you lived here? Since 85. So that's anecdotal, but this is everywhere. People are losing, they're not able to even determine where they are on the map. And that's very significant actually. That's again, this is tip of the iceberg stuff. We know that we're losing our ability to navigate, to know where we are on the map. We're losing our ability to remember numbers and names and things. We're conscious of that.
And maybe this is all just like when you say tip of the iceberg, maybe we're forgetting who we are. We're not just forgetting where we are, we're forgetting who we are, right?
Yes, our humanity, right? It's important to understand that I think we're forgetting that we're human. I think if you take your idea to the logical extreme, we're forgetting we're human because, environment shapes mind. So whatever environment you put yourself in, it's going to shape your mind to some degree. That's we know that to be intuitionally true. That's not arguable. So you place your mind in a two-dimensional environment that's algorithmic in nature, which is what a digital device is. If this, then that. I'm gonna pose this as a question. It's not a question for me, but I'll pose it as a question. If you put your mind in a digital environment, does your mind become more algorithmic or more digital or more computer-like? Well, it seems to follow that it does. If we agree that environment shapes mind, then a 2D environment shapes your mind. So in what way? Makes it more 2D. Makes it more digital, makes it more closed. Makes it more algorithmic. So one of the most catastrophic things that are happening right now because of the digital tech is that people are becoming algorithmic. They're actually, what I would say, this is one of my grand ideas, my friend,
Yeah.
is that AI has already been installed softly in human beings. Soft installation by just exposure and immersion in the 2D environment and the digital environment, where you have people thinking artificially now. They're not using actual human, critical, open problem solving. They're saying, when the problem arises, they're saying, if this, then that. So they're not open to the unknown. And problems require that you're open to the unknown so that the new information come in and you can solve a problem that you haven't encountered before. So if you're closed, like a digital mind is, you can't fathom or even begin to conceptualize novelty because you're waiting for if it's this, then it's going to be that. So everything's sort of known. And that means there's no place for novelty. And then everything dies. And we're already in this process. And the reason I'm offline and I've been for so long is because the more I do this, the more validation I get that it's true. Because as I go off, I'm developing at a rate that's observably faster than everyone else. And I wouldn't even say faster because what I would say is people aren't developing when they're online so much. They're actually devolving. They're going down. They're losing their ability to focus, to process information, to concentrate. That's another big one. We can go down on that one for 3 hours on attention span. The devices strip you of your attention span. Your attention span, you could say, is the thing that helps you go deep on being. Because the more you look at something, the deeper you go on it. And if you don't look deep on it, then if you don't look long on it, you don't go deep on it. So that means everything you're looking at, you're just going shallow across. You're going across being superficially. And there's no depth to your experience or your knowledge acquisition. And then where the hell are you? You don't even know where you are because you're not grounded deep enough into anything. And you can be just pushed around by any impulse or any idea that comes your way. So this is still tip of the iceberg, man. So the internet thing that I'm up to, the fact that I'm doing this with you is actually, I will tell you, my friend Matthew, in the context of my life, you are a special human being because I reached a point in my life, and I won't go here now, but the hardship that has come by being offline and being off device has reached such a fever pitch in the last month that I've had to hop on. And this has happened. I've been doing this for 5 years actually, and I've been off and on several times, and I've reached points where I had to get back on because I'm I'm too cut off from all social exchange, from all life,
Right.
internet life. So I jumped on out of desperation, and I saw your podcast, and I thought, well, shit, maybe this might be like a good thing to do. But I normally am not, and so by not being on and engaging in all this, I actually have a wife, and we're so goddamn isolated. But in our isolation, we're developing, and I'm happy about
Isolated
it.
from one another or isolated together from everyone else?
Together from everyone else. We're actually closer because we're offline. We're so much more undistracted than everyone else. We can focus on the problems of our marriage, our relationship, and work on them properly instead of multitasking through it all.
You know, I felt myself when you said that you just had a wife that you're isolated together from everyone else. I just felt like this, I felt so happy for you
Oh, thank you.
because I think you've been describing this, and I'm thinking a lot of things. A lot of what you're saying, I really do agree with. But I was also thinking this sounds lonely, you know,
Yeah,
to be this way.
that's the
But
fundamental part of the hardship is that there's a great loneliness, and it's deep because what happens is as I'm developing, and what I would say is that another way of thinking what the internet does is it impoverishes you. That's just the way of thinking about it. Internet impoverishes. The open real world enriches. So I'm offline, I'm being enriched by the open, deeply, infinitely textured being of reality, instead of being undernourished by the limited, closed, low resolution perception of the digital domain. So I'm living a life where I'm being enriched because of what I'm up to. I'm more connected to the earth. I feel my soul being enriched. I'm still gaining knowledge, acquiring knowledge and wisdom, experience. Others are not at the rate I am. So I'm lonely, but then I'm also, as I'm being enriched, I want to share my riches. That's what you do. You don't want to just sit on a pile of riches and money and stuff. That sucks. You want to get that so you can enrich the people around you and the community around you. So I'm acquiring all this, but I have nowhere to put it. So it's like, and it's not just loneliness, it's like escalating loneliness constantly as I have more to share and give.
well, and that takes me to the point of exactly how do you monetize this point of view?
Right,
I'm just kidding.
right.
Jacob, do me a favor. I want to try something. Give me your best definition for the word novelty.
I'd say it relates to, well, just think of what's new and what emerges, a previously unknown thing emerging. And yeah, I think that's a good enough thing, a good enough
Yeah,
definition.
that word just stood out to me. I think you're right about that. Is kind of what this sort of internet culture is doing to us. I agree with you. It's removing novelty, but I wanted to. So let's see. Novelty refers to something new, unusual, or striking, either in terms of a quality or as a specific item.
So to unpack that, think about your own. Let's use the device as an example. Think about your device. What if you didn't update it for 10 years? It would become not really functional. It would become decreasingly functional in the internet and eventually wouldn't function at all.
Yep,
Why?
that's a great analogy. Yeah,
Because well, I have to use computer analogies because it's the most effective thing for the computer minds I'm
it's the
talking
only
to.
thing I'm going to relate to. God knows. Yeah, no, I'm listening to like 3 other podcasts right now.
Oh, are you? Jesus Christ, you bastard! Um, you joke, but that's certainly happening all over the place.
Yeah.
So the novelty is necessary for life because the the universe we're in is quite, this is an understatement, quite dynamic and quite old and quite ancient and quite large and
Yep.
quite unknown, and it's always changing. And it has been forever, and it always will, and there's always going to be new things emerging, and if we don't update, we become not functional. And that's really observable in the short term and the long term. You can just watch that in several domains of life. You can see this happen. You need novelty to live. You have to adapt to the environment that's always changing.
Jacob, what was the most important thing to you? What was your greatest wish or dream in life when you were 11 years old?
I was 11, specifically 11, huh?
Yep.
At 11, I think, I wanted to play American football, man. And I wanted to be a writer, I think, something like that. Well, the football was just the physics of it. I was a running back. I was very fast and had like I could juke.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore, but I could. And so there's these beautiful physics to American football. So you're running, you get hit, and there's all these collisions and like all the fall physics. And so as a kid, I loved that. I could just like live in that sort of physical chaos of a tackle. So I got so much out of that. Um,
Describe it to me. I've never played football.
okay, I'll answer you. I'm going to do a double, like a two-headed answer. Um, I want to point out that another thing about the internet, what it's doing is it's ruining our intuition for physics. And I'll get to the football thing; it relates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you ever play video games, I'm sure you have. Yes, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. Oh, okay.
I'm not a big video game guy, but sure, I've played them
Oh,
before.
good. Glad to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Uh, so I played a lot of video games. So video games, there are physics in video games, and they do their best to make them good. And most of the better games, the better the physics are, the better the game. And if you've played a bad game, a lot of times because the physics are just so bad, right? But now a lot of kids are playing these games with these physics. They're not real physics. They're actually so far from real physics, right? They're losing their intuition for natural physics by being immersed in a domain that has fake physics. And what that means is if these kids say play 20 hours of video games a day for 6 months, no one does that much, but say they did, and the game they were playing was throwing a ping pong ball across a room. So the developer of the game would have programmed this thing, and it maybe looked fucking really real and stuff, but it's still a far cry from real physics. So now you have to know this principle: intuition is informed by our experience.
Right.
So if your experience is mostly false physics and you don't have an intuition for real ones, and then know what's the result of that is, you start getting clumsy bodily, and you can't interact with the physical realm as well. The beauty of the real physics that the digital physics can offer is it's infinite. So I played John Madden football on fucking PlayStation a bunch, and they had tackles, but as they came out every year with different tackles, they'd add different tackle animations. So the more variation you have, well, the more delightful that is, because there's novelty happening. Well, that tackle never happened before. That never happened. So with all of that raw material of all the different bodies, 22 people on the field, right, with a ball, and all that physical potential of different angles and combinations of tackles and all that, that makes for an infinite set of like tackles, right? They're all unique.
Yeah.
And if you're attuned to that and you're like interested in it and watching for all of that nuance and detail, you can perceive it and experience it. And I think I did as a kid, like, oh, he hit me here, and then that guy hit me there, and I felt all the little, like, the fragments of the total tackle, like all of the parts, not all of them, but a lot of the parts. And then the next tackle was different, and they were all different. And they will continue to forever be all different, right? So
Jacob, it's honestly it's a poetic answer. The reason that I ask about the most important thing when you're 11 years old, I have this idea of a necessary delusion, right? The necessary delusions that drive us through our lives, right? And and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've heard a lot of people's stories, and I feel like I've sort of boiled it down to the most important thing, or essentially what was their necessary delusion when they were 11 years old. That is the delusion that you sort of see manifested through every step of their life. This whole time I'm listening to you talk about this stuff with the internet, and what I was really sort of wondering was what part of this guy loves to be this outlier? Because it seems like in a lot of ways you're really going out of your way to sort of create a problem for the people around you. No phone, right? No internet. You're actually getting on stage and unsolicited sharing about these ideas. So it's like, this isn't just something that you believe. It is something that you, I think, are holding more important than almost everything else in your life, right? And so I go, and I go, well, God, how did this guy get here? What's the most important thing to you when you're 11 years old? You go, football. And I'm like, fuck, I don't even like football. What does that mean?
I know.
And now you start talking about physics, and tell me that's not the crux of your entire sort of philosophy here. If you had this kind of magical experience with physics and novelty maybe, and now all you can see is like that that the whole world is sort of trying to like edge that experience out.
Interesting, man. Do you want me to respond to that, or I want you to continue?
Please,
If you're
no,
not
that was
done.
just this is my, I don't have a degree. I like to listen to stories. I'm really more of a patient than anything else. But so that's my like that's my response to
No,
what you
well,
said.
if you had a degree, I probably wouldn't want to talk to you, to tell you the truth.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think the colleges have really screwed people up, man. But so, oh shit, where were we? What did you? Oh, I want to respond to that. I think so. I want to say first of all, thank you, because I think you just gave me an insight, actually, a profound insight into myself. What I see, what you helped me see there, was that I do have a deep interest in detail, and in the tiny parts, to figure out the whole. Like I don't. I like to get down to the bottom of things, like really down to the nitty gritty, and I want to get at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And the devil's in the details, as I said. And you could also say, well, God's in the details. You could say it's all in the details, because you could line up a bunch of things that look the same, and you won't know they're different until you get close. And that's the case with everything. You have to get down to the nitty gritty to make distinctions, and you can't. If you don't make distinctions, then you can't find meaning in all of it. So I love detail. So the football is detail. You're right. And then my endeavor here around the devices is about detail. And my life is really about detail. And this is the connection you helped me see, that the details have driven me. And because of that, I've come into information and knowledge and understanding that a lot of people who aren't driven to detail do come into. And that's alienated me. And someone might say, well, I'm somewhat autistic, and I might be, because of a very, very, very peculiar, like, I'm getting at the nitty gritty sand grains of things. I have to. And there might be autism in there, and that certainly would isolate me. Because people don't have the mental energy for that work unless you're a little bit nuts or a little bit imbalanced. So
Obsessed with it.
Obsessed.
So Jacob, then tell me, I'm not seeing this correctly then, because I also sense, and I say this respectfully, we all have it, but I always look for the ego piece, I always look for the ego piece in everything that we're doing, right? And like I say, you, at the beginning, when you were sort of describing the way you've been living and how these principles are sort of getting in the way of the convenience of your life, I felt like there was an ego in that. I felt like you liked being the outlier. You liked being the problem for people because it was maybe making them look at this issue. So I wonder if you could dig on that, or sort of like cop to a small ego piece. And maybe you kind of, when your family or friends get upset that you don't have a cell phone, maybe it's a pain in the ass, but maybe there's a little part of you at the end of the night where you go, good.
I like that you take it here, because it's very human. We all suffer from this problem, right? So do I have to wrestle with my ego? Yes, I do. So what I would say around that is that, yes, you're right. I've partially enjoyed it part of the time.
Yeah.
But it's not driving it fundamentally, because I would, in a second, oh shit, my battery's going low. In a moment, I would trade the situation for a different one that would involve me not being an outlier. It's not worth it. The outlying thing is kind of cool, but it's sort of like, cool is only so valuable and so fun for eventually
Cool
you need
but shallow.
Yes, it can, very much. So that thing is kind of nice. It's nice to be cool, right? It's kind of like, I have, this might sound egoistic, but I have kind of like nice, pretty green eyes. Like I got blessed
I
that
noticed.
way.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
all
green eyes, right?
noticed.
So what am I saying around that? Oh shit, I forgot what I was saying around that.
Cool.
Oh, right. Okay, so I get compliments on my eyes all the time, and that's nice to have nice eyes, but it doesn't actually help me. It doesn't
Right.
get me anywhere. So if someone said, I'll give you I'll answer your questions about the universe. I'll give you, great friends and a life of art and all these things I want. If you just have blue eyes instead that aren't so bright, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I don't care. Take my green eyes away. So that means it's not driving me. It's sort of like a side bending.
Yeah.
It's like a bending.
I totally understand and appreciate that. I just want to say a couple of things here because I realize maybe your battery's running out. So
Yeah, shit. Yep.
I do want to ask you one more question, but just one little thing is, do I have your permission to share this conversation on my podcast, YouTube, Spotify, social channels, all the places where I sort of share these materials.
Of course. Yes. No problem.
Awesome. Jacob, I really have appreciated this conversation so much. I thank you so much for signing up. This was
Yes,
a
I
great.
like you.
I like you too. This was an enriching conversation. I want to end with one thing though. I wonder if you could tell me, what are your creature comforts?
Oh, I have a couple things with me. So my creature comforts. I do deny myself a lot of what my creature comforts, but the ones I'll still allow myself is I like marijuana.
Yeah.
So,
Me
but
too.
but I use that pretty responsibly. I'm not just like stoner, But
Yeah.
I play. Me and my wife play ukulele. And we
Nice.
play other instruments, but we've been recently playing ukulele, and we've been writing songs. And so I play music. That's a creature comfort. And I'm show and tell. This is my Bulgarian ukulele that I will not play for you at this time. But here it is.
Really? Maybe you could play it like a little bit, or tell me what you love so much about that ukulele.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about this. We stole this ukulele from a goddamn music store. And I'm not going around stealing from everyone. Don't think that. But I'm gonna cliffhang you on this and not even tell you why and what the circumstances were around why I stole it. But we walked into the store and stole it. It's a nice one. And you want me to play a song? Goddamn, really?
Just give me a little sound of it. You don't have to play a whole thing. Just give me give me a taste.
Novel, a little stripe, a little stroke. Okay. I don't know if you can hear it very well.
I could hear it.
What song is it? My wife's sitting right here, by the way. But,
oh, hi.
Hello. Oh, yes, they go this one.
Oh, you wanted that one?
One line of it. Like a teaser.
Really? Okay, wait. No, I'll just do this. I'm just going to strum for you. I'm making too big a deal out of this. Little strumming. That's all I give you now. I will play a song for you another time, my friend.
Jacob, it's maybe the most compelling point you've made during the whole talk. What a beautiful sound coming out of that. It's
Did it sound okay? Good. Thank you, man.
It really did.
Thank
Just
you, man.
one more thing, just because you baited me on this. What creature comforts do you not allow yourself?
Well, I'll give you the lowest hanging fruit. I have not allowed myself porn and a lot of sex. And I've had a lot of opportunity because of these green eyes, Kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. But because of my moral position and what I understand about sex and the impact it has, and especially promiscuous sex, I've not given myself that comfort. And we know it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't done that. I'm married, and I believe in not sleeping with other people. I think it's harmful to relationships. So I try to not sleep with other women, but the opportunities are there and the butts are walking around. I was just in Austin for 3 months, Austin, Texas. So many yoga pants in that city. The battery just...
Jacob, did I lose you? Did I lose you, Jacob? Are you there?
Battery.
Hello? And we lose him early to a dead battery. His device failed him. Couldn't be any more perfect. So what do you think? Did he make any good points? Were you able to find a piece of yourself in him? Jacob is trying to keep his integrity with a set of principles in an environment where those values and principles aren't valued for the most part. I thought he made a lot of great points about outsourcing our cognition. Gun to my head, can I remember my wife's entire phone number? I don't know, maybe 87%? If environment shapes your mind, then is this digital algorithmic environment making your mind more algorithmic? Is that a problem? Are we thinking artificially? Are we still open to the unknown? Is there a place for novelty? Why didn't he tell us his wife was in the car with him the entire time? So many questions, so rhetorical. For me, so much was answered to hear him talk about his love for the physics and the chaos of the tackle playing football. The devil's in the details, so is God, and he fell in love with the infinite and unexpected organic combinations, the raw feeling of being hit. And if we lose touch with that feeling, then what do we lose? It makes me think about how many people sit boldly behind their keyboards, tearing down strangers on the internet in the comment sections, And how many of those people might stop doing that if they remembered the feeling of getting punched in the face? A big thank you to Jacob for sharing today, and to you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and here's the homework. Figure out what kind of earth monster you want to be. Get an idea and hang on to it like a dog with the bone. Think it, feed it, do it. And I know what you're thinking. I'm missing a shoe. No. You have to take the next step. We will be back next week with more epic, everyday stories of success and redemption. I'll see you next time.